The symmetry was also disturbed by the apparent loss of one of the rooms that
Hey,
you.
welcome to Mazecast episode 5. We're going to be talking about room 32 tonight. It's just the three of us here. If you guys want to say hello, Greg, who's
Hello.
good timing, and Alex.
Hello.
Alex is going to be providing the beats for this episode.
The beats and the hats, my friends.
You know what I wanted to talk about a little bit up front before we start talking about room 32 was that email exchange that Gentile had with Manson today, or at least that he posted today for Manson. Manson said something interesting in there. In fact, if I had exercised any kind of forethought, I would have pulled it up before I started talking about it. But Manson said something to the effect of, you know, like, it's nice that people are making these complicated maps, and I like the interest in the book, but really I think people should not be doing that, and they should be, you know, they should just be going through the maze based on their recollection of things and, you know, just essentially playing it straight, which I actually thought was a pretty fair point, and at least in terms of you should at least exhaust the possibilities of doing that before you move on to the stage of the game that we're at. You know what I mean? Like, part of the reason why Maze stuck with me so much and has been so influential for me is because, you know, I was as a kid when I was going through it, that's what I was still approaching it, you know, like a story, and like I was exploring this maze, and it was a lot more captivating that way, and at least it's more like a work of fiction than just a series of disconnected riddles.
Right.
So I thought it was an interesting.
Pulling at the threads of the tapestry, and it kind of unravels a bit as a result. Go on.
And it made me wonder if we're doing like maybe some kind of a disservice by trying to pull people in. And we've actually talked about this before, and I said completely the opposite. I think I said was, fuck new people, I want them to catch up to us so they can help us. I want to give them...
That's a natural reaction. I mean, like, at this stage in the game, I think we all want people to catch up with us.
Yeah, but it really, it kind of deprives them of maybe the best part of it. Like, maybe the best part of Maze is...
I think it devalues it sort of for them, because they're seeing us saying like, oh fuck, hurry up, like, you know, like, look at the rooms more carefully, like, hurry up, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or if they say something like, well, you know, the devil's tails are pointing at the door. It's like, yeah, we fucking know that. Come on. Let's
That's more realistic, yeah.
Our time.
Yeah. So I think, so what I was going to say is, I wonder if maybe we should do like an episode 0 of Mazecast here, where someone who's actually not familiar with Maze, we could introduce them into a way, maybe point out some interesting things, but no kinds of spoilers, and just try to get people into the Maze. Because really, episode 1, we gave a little introduction, but we've always assumed from the get-go that anyone who would be watching this is someone who's already pretty deep into Maze.
For sure.
And you would be. I mean, you would have to be pretty deep in to want to sit here and watch people talk about it for hours. But I was thinking maybe it would be useful to do a more introductory episode. I don't know. What do you guys think of that?
It'd be fun. So how would it look?
I don't know.
Well, no. I think, well, do you think each one of us could get one person, and then we do like maybe one episode with each of our people and see what they say, and then sort of compare them afterwards?
You mean like a new person?
Well, no, like I get somebody, I get my girlfriend or whatever. Like you get your wife. Greg gets.
Right, that's what I meant. Someone who's new. Someone who's new.
Yeah, someone who's new. Someone who like knows the general idea because you've been so fucking obsessed about it for the last 6 months.
Yeah. You know, it is not even been 6 months. It's been like 1 or 2 months.
Yeah, it's been June.
Can you believe that? Yeah,
Well, for you it's been June. I've been on Raven's site since last year, but there wasn't a lot of activity on it.
yeah, yeah. The really kind of exploded here just fairly recently, but it seems like it's been forever, doesn't it?
It was all you, bro. You brought it upon us. You brought the storm upon the Argo.
Okay. So maybe we'll talk a little bit more about what we want to do next time then, maybe after room 32.
Yeah.
All right. So, room 32. And I'm presenting this week, which means I'm going to talk really slowly and for a long time about room 32, like I do about everything. Room 32 is one of the few rooms in the maze. Actually, I mean, Alex, can you pull up the scanned image that you have of room 32 just so we can put it up briefly?
I cannot because I'm running this off my telephone.
Fine, I'm just gonna hold the damn...
Well, you know what? Yeah, you can do that.
All right, that's what I'm doing.
I'm
There.
also doing it.
Everyone memorize what that looks like because you're not going to see it again. Oh, Greg's got it. Okay. Room 32 is one of the rare rooms in the maze that you can only access on the way back. You can only access it after you've been to 45. I think the only rooms like that are 23, 32, and 28, I think, are the three rooms. So I remember when I was a kid reading the book, this was a room that I did not visit very often because when I was first playing around with the maze, I didn't immediately discover the secret door. Once I found the secret door, at that point I had already sort of reached the point of just mapping things out to find the path. So once I went past the secret door, I just completed the path and then I was kind of done. So this was not a room I'd spent much time in, and I expect for most readers it's kind of the same. Maybe not that they don't spend time here at all, don't look at it, but it's probably one of the least visited rooms in the maze, I would guess.
It only has one entrance, correct?
Yeah, only has one entrance, like room 14.
Right.
Oh, and room 26 too. But 14 and 32, as you've pointed out, are very similar in that they have one entrance, and the correct way to go is back the way you came.
Yeah.
So they're both rooms you walk into and you need to walk right back out of.
Do you think that being this type of room, it has a lot to do with the guide?
I don't think I don't think 14 does. So I don't think that fact makes it have a lot to do with the guide, but I do think it has a lot to do with the guide. In fact, I'll maybe get into it a little bit later, but I wonder if that's sort of the bigger importance of the room. Because really, the sign on the wall, sea bag, okay, this is a puzzle that was solved a long time ago back on the John Bailey site, something we really sort of take for granted. But I think it probably is one of the easier anagrams in the book. There aren't that many anagrams, but this is a lot easier than, for instance, like C ape nose in room 38.
Yeah. 38.
Yeah,
There's actually
38.
similarities between this room and 38, by the way.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What else do you see?
Well, I'll. Do you want to do your? Are you done with your overview before we?
No, I'll be talking forever on my overview. But it's thematically, okay, I'll keep talking, and then I'll pass the ball around.
Okay.
Anyway, I think the room is perhaps primarily about giving some indication as to the guide, because that C bag okay, which you change the C SEA to the letter C, and then it becomes an anagram for go back. I mean, that essentially solves the room. That tells you what you need to do, is go back out the way you came. And it's not like it's a puzzle that you have to look for in the room. It's pretty obvious that that stuff written on the wall is some kind of a message. You know what I mean? So it's not like the devil looking over there and the statue looking over there is some necessary part of the puzzle. essentially the answer is written right on the wall when you come in. So I suspect the other stuff that's going on in the room is about something else. Could be wrong. The text.
It's a wordy one, eh? It's one of the lengthiest texts in the book.
That's true. And none of it is necessary for finding the correct door. Some of it might be helpful. I mean, as far as solutions we've uncovered so far, we don't know of one that tells you to go back out the way you came from the text. But yeah, that's another reason to think there's something else going on in this room.
Well, you also got to remember that this is the room. Like this is too deep, like 2 rooms deep off the path, right? So this is the sort of last chance that you have to go back.
Right. This is as far as you can get off the 16-step path and get back on without having to fall down in a loop and then start back over at 1. It is unique in that regard. The text starts out by talking about the hole in the wall, which makes the entrance to 11. Says that it appeared as though someone broke in and stole one of the statues, but then implies that that's not really what happened. The guide says this, of course, was one explanation. And I think the obvious insinuation there, although I'm not sure how obvious it is, the insinuation there is that maybe the statue itself came to life and broke out. Is there anyone who didn't independently come to that conclusion?
No, I think everybody thought that. I think everybody came to that conclusion.
That's what I thought, which makes me wonder whether it's too obvious of an assumption, maybe if that's not what's going on. I will note, it's been noted before in a lot of places, but that Daedalus was known for making very realistic statues that were in fact so realistic that they would get up and move around.
Right, and walk away.
Yeah. So yet another reference to the big 3, I guess. The big 3 names you keep coming back to are Daedalus, Minos, and the Minotaur, in terms of seeing clues and thinking that, oh, this is who the guide is. Something else that I don't remember, I'm sure it's been noted before, but I don't remember where. Statues like that serve as support beams or supports, as pillars, columns, whatever, those are actually called atlases or atlantes. A statue like that is called an atlas, which is interesting, of course, because room 26 has such a heavy focus on atlas. Atlas is the word there for the riddle of the path, but it is clued so much more heavily than any other word in the riddle of the path. It's kind of made me wonder if there's some reason why they're putting a focus on Atlas in that room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there is then in this room what appears to be an escaped Atlas. Whether that figures into anything, I don't know.
It makes sense.
Later on in the text, we've got this business about people can be so arrogant in a very real way. We are all of us animals, at least in part. Hitting Minos and the Minotaur in there, I think, at least certainly the Minotaur. I think everyone who reads that thinks, he's cluing that he's part animal, maybe he's the Minotaur.
No, it could also be referring to the devil creature at the top of the thing there to 6, and part is also a anagram for trap. So I thought that was the connection to that guy.
We're all of us animals, at least in part, in the sense of at least in the trap.
Yeah, because he's over the trapdoor, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's an interesting thought.
Well, it's really that was one of my only contributions. I have one more, but I'll let you guys keep talking.
Okay. Oh, I like that. I like that one. The idea of people who are part animals being associated with the trap. I like that. That's not terrible. I could live with that.
Well, you know what? I'm starting to live with that even more just because of Manson's little comments today, or what Gentile posted. I feel almost liberated in the sense that, like, it is more up into interpretation. If he said it, if it came from the horse's mouth, then,
Okay.
Like, I'm not going to go buck wild at the same time. But anyway, carry on, Vance.
Okay. Devil over the doorway to room 6. Now, it seems too straightforward to be true, but it seems to be true everywhere in the maze. Well, only in 3 rooms, but the devil seems to be a reliable indicator of bad. You know, room 26, the devils indicate the bad doors. In room 43, I mean, you're already in the trap, but you've got devil there. I mean, it's suggestive that you're in a bad place or, you know, something bad's going on there. And then here, the devil over 6 does, in fact, mark the door that you shouldn't take. So it does seem...
there's 2 traps in here.
That's true. So I shouldn't say the door, but he marks a door that you shouldn't take. The
Right.
devils are reliable indications that that's not the right way. We've got the bird here, which all the birds in the book are all slightly different, although they have in common, they always have the...
Crown.
Yeah. They always got the big crown. But like this is larger than the bird in 44, which looks kind of the same, but like a smaller version. And
he's a smaller hoopy bird.
It's not a hoopy bird. And or hoopo bird or
Hoopo bird.
It doesn't look like any bird that we can find in the real world. And then
that's why I make fun of it. I don't think he meant for it to be classified as a certain genus.
And then it doesn't quite look like the bird in 21. It doesn't really look like that bird at all in 21.
No.
And it does look like the pull toy birds. You know.
They all have the crown.
Mm-hmm. But I would say this probably looks, well, I don't know. That pull toy looks kind of like all of them. Who knows? But anyway, we've got this bird here again. And we don't know what kind of bird it is, and we don't know why it keeps showing up in the maze.
Same reason as the top hats.
Maybe it's a path, or maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's a trick. Maybe it's a clue to something bigger than the path. I don't know. The atlas that's still in the room. I'll just call it a statue. I'm gonna stop sounding like a jackass. In the room, and the devil are both looking over, either at the. To me, it looks more like they're looking at the sign or maybe the room number than...
Well, the wall, if anything.
Yeah, they're looking over there anyway, towards the hole in the wall and 11 and the sea bag okay. Oh, I should note with the sea bag okay, of course, we've got the bags there on the floor under 6, which I think are probably just there to mislead people who are reading clues on a very surface level, where they're like, sea bags.
Well, it says that's okay, we'll go through there.
Yeah, sea bags are a thing. They're a thing that
they're carried by seamen.
Yes. Yeah, that they would carry their stuff in. I'm not sure that that's what those bags there are. They don't really seem to have straps or anything that would make them easy to carry.
No, sure they are. Back in the Second World War, they had those. They're just carry-on bags. You carry all your shit in them.
Okay, well I know that they exist. I just didn't know if they look like that. I'll take a word.
Well, I don't know. I think there is a correlation between sea bags and the bags because they're the only bags in the room.
Right. Well, no question. No question. I'm just saying I don't know if that's what an actual. The sea bags. If you go Google sea bag, the stuff you look at, it's not really going to look like that. It's going to look more like a duffel bag with a strap that you can carry around.
True.
In any case, that's what those bags are for. I think is just to screw people over. I mean, it's possible that they play a part in some kind of solution as well, but I don't know. And I think they're just there to lead people astray. There's narrator stuff, identity of the guide stuff going on here, which we've already talked about. He talks about people, how he thinks about the animals in the maze as being members of his little kingdom. People can be so arrogant in a very real way. We're all of us animals, at least in part. Sort of suggesting something about the narrator's identity there. The word kingdom is used twice in there.
So is animal.
Yeah. Yeah. Some weird stuff, when he says, looked like a thief had broken in and taken the statue, and he says, this, of course, was one explanation. And then the next line is, another one, they cried, which immediately makes it seem like they're referring to the line that he just said internally. You know what I mean? He just said, well, that was one explanation, and then they say another one.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Well, I think this little bit of narration. So there's a story here, right? There's a story in this picture about the statue that breaks out, or we're kind of coming upon the scene of a crime, and we're supposed to kind of deduce that that's what happened. But sometimes they have this kind of textual story, but then there's actually a lot of the rattling on is just to disguise the clues that he's putting in there. So that this paragraph with the final line seems like it could be a case like that. So there's 3 ones there. Loss of one of the room statues. This was one explanation, another one. And I feel like that could correspond to the ones in the signs. Because there's 11, a room 16. And
yes, exactly.
And then we're talking about symmetry throughout the whole thing, right? It's a square room. It there's kind of a, so I feel like there's got to be, well, I feel like there might be some number juggling you're supposed to do, because all those 3 rooms also have digits in common, right? They're all made out of 1s and 6s, but I can't see any reference to 6 anywhere. But if you take all the 1s out, then you're left with like 6 mirroring 6, and then a gaping hole mirroring 28.
You know, that's an interesting point. I thought about the 1s correlating to the 1s in the 11 and in the 16, but it seemed like, well, that's something that in another room we would consider to be a clue to the correct door, you know, when they start talking about it in text. But I guess, but I somehow missed the one mention when he says the apparent loss of one of the room's statues. And it's true, they are more drawing attention to the lack of symmetry than suggesting that there should be symmetry. Which
can I say my point now that I wanted to bring up before?
Yeah.
So on symmetry, the only thing that I noticed that was sort of wacky in this room, well, every room is wacky, but the thing that I noticed that was sort of out of whack was the speak of symmetry and the fact that the door beyond 6 is closer to 28.
Oh.
Maybe that's something.
The sea bags are asymmetrical too, in the sense there's 2 on one side and 1 on the other.
Yeah.
The gargoyle holding that shield, he could be holding it with his hand symmetrically, but he has 1 down.
Oh, well, you know what? You could even argue to say that the stairs are, you know, the sort of the symmetry of the room is weighed towards the right of the room, because the stairs that come up are also, like, if you were to weigh that sector, you know, as a scales or something, then the right side of the room would weigh more because it's got more shit there. It's got the bird, it's got the extra atlas/statue. It may only have 1 bag, but it's got the stairs. I don't know. I'm going on one of my rants again, but
you all notice the 11 sign? So if you look at the 11 sign, it's cockeyed, right?
Yeah.
Yes. The nails are.
It was nailed up that way.
Yeah, it was nailed up cockeyed.
It's not like it got knocked by the statue or anything. It's actually nailed flush to the wall. So
yeah, for sure.
Planted.
Yeah. There's something going on here with this asymmetry stuff.
And so if you look at the 2 1s of the 11, and then there's a loss of 1 statue, that gets you 1. So the 2 1s kind of relate to the 2 statues, right? The 2 1s of the 11, which is a symmetrical number, and then you lose 1, and then you have 1 left. But I don't know where to go with it from that. But I feel like that's the thing.
Right, because you don't want anyone's left. Is the problem.
Right.
Yeah. Let me see. Oh, do we want to talk about that anymore?
Do you have anything to add?
No, I just didn't want to move on because that seemed like, I think that's pretty interesting.
Well, I feel like that would be something we could explore, and I was hoping maybe someone could build off of that. But we can move on to something else.
You
Yeah,
mean the asymmetry?
Oh, and did we say it? I mean, the devil is asymmetrical itself, too, in a
Yeah,
way that there's really no reason for it to be. Like, it could easily be symmetrically holding the sign to 6.
I
So,
said that, except I called it a gargoyle.
I'm sorry.
That's
I was
okay.
I
That's
was
okay.
distracted by movement.
Oh, jeez.
We have different terminologies. Too.
Okay. Um, one other thing about the text I wanted to note, and I'm going back and forth because I was getting ready to start to talk about the guide identity stuff. But notice it says it must have taken a great deal of strength to pull the heavy stones out of position, which seems strange. It doesn't seem like there's any particular reason to think that the stones would have had to have been pulled,
Yeah.
which I initially took to mean, aha, the stones that are from the wall are inside the room, so that means that whoever knocked down the wall was inside the room pulling them down. But you can clearly see there are stones on both sides of the wall. So
Yes, I was just about to say.
so
There might be some clue with that hole too. Like the hole was rudely broken, but that could just be like so that.
Well, wait a second. Hold on.
A clue to deduce that the statue broke the.
Although there are some rocks on the inside of that hole, the rocks that are still attached to the wall are clearly pointing towards the room. Like there's the one that's closest to the 11 that's going out, and most of the others, well, I don't know. You guys think I'm out on a limb here, but it looks like somebody broke into the room, not out of it. Like just based on the rocks that are still, or sorry, the stones that are still in the wall.
Well, that's why he said someone pulled, right? Because the statue is super strong because it's a statue, and it pulled the stones in. It didn't push them.
But how are you gonna get a grip on a stone if you
with
like
stone fingers, business? Put those stone fingers in there.
Oh, sorry, I forgot, Greg. I forgot. You got the stone fingers to do it.
Yeah.
I guess practically speaking, if you pushed one block through, then you could pull the rest out.
Right.
Okay.
You don't mention no pushing.
No push. I don't think you need to do any pushing to do it. You just dig those stone fingers in between the stones.
Greg is determined that it's a stone golem.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there's a lot of rubble there. That means that stones are getting smashed.
Yeah. That's just because it's pissed.
Yeah. That wasn't even related.
Going on Guide Quest, can I just draw the connections between 38 and 32?
38 and 32? Oh, yeah. Yes, go ahead.
So this is all piddly stuff, but it did seem somewhat noteworthy. So both of them have, the rebus in 38 and the anagram of 32, they both have the words, a different spelling of the word C.
Yes.
Translated into C.
Yeah.
Which is interesting that they use two different versions. They both have rocks on the ground, and they're both stone rooms, which a lot of rooms are stone. But if you look at the kind of relief getting carved into the wall in 38, it's pretty similar to what 32 ends up being.
Yes.
The pillars are reversed with the statues, but you kind of have, So
yeah, I never noticed that before. You're right.
It's
not completely the same, but it's getting there.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a primitive version. Of, yeah, and even above there, you can see you've got a little triangle shape, just like in 32. You've got a triangle shape that houses the devil.
Yeah, and you have that face being formed.
Yeah. Which it's hard to tell what that's going to be eventually, but yeah, that's an interesting point. There's a lot of similarity going on there.
Mm-hmm. And that could just be because it's the same artist. He maybe didn't intend it, but.
Well, I mean, he may not have intended it, but there's a lot there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for me to imagine he wasn't conscious that he was reusing a very similar anagram element in the siege,
He did use themes. He said in the post that he used he didn't want to he didn't want to talk too much about it, but he said something about how he had used certain different themes like throughout the rooms, but only a limited amount. So yeah, it would have been like a few for each in the Gentile post, what have you.
Yeah.
Right.
That's an interesting observation. What
Yeah, definitely.
guide identity? What I was going to say is interesting about this room is that all the wrong exits, the exits that don't get you back to the path, all seem to have
Darkness. Dark.
maybe not weighty, significant bearing, but seem to have bearing on guide identity. I mean, you go to 16 and it's pretty blatant. 16 is where he talks about, it reminds him of his old neighbors, and
Yeah.
their descendants are still telling stories about him and his family. It's a pretty clear clue or red herring about the guide's identity. And then 6 is the one-way room. There's only one place you can go in there, but it has that sign, warning people, about at least what everyone takes to be a warning about the identity of the guide. It's got, well, I'll tell you what's interesting in 6. It's got some stuff that is obvious about the identity of the guide, like he talks about, if you think of all the deceptions practiced in my family, particularly on my father. Okay, we're just talking about the guide's identity there. But here's something interesting. It says, gloomy cave-like place far underground, even I was oppressed by the weight that hung over our heads, suggesting that the guide would be more tolerant of having weight over top. You know what I mean? Like he says, even I was oppressed by the weight that hung over our heads.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised
Talking
if
about the eye that's hanging there.
What about the eye?
Well, there's an eye There's a picture of an eye hanging.
Oh, no,
And
I wasn't.
Looks like it's an oppressed eye.
I guess that could be.
No, dude, I have a whole theory about that. I think I explained it on another episode, but I won't get into it now.
But anyway, I was just getting at, I think that is suggestive, again, of Atlas. I don't think the guide is Atlas because I don't think it fits with a lot of other stuff. But I think that's what mine is suggesting.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I'm not so sure anymore, man.
You're not
think.
You're not just so sure that it's not Atlas, you mean? Like you think he might be Atlas?
Well, just like with all these new developments, with like we're learning stuff. I wouldn't say every day, but we're learning stuff every week. Like suddenly Gentile breaks out these fucking posts about Manson saying certain things, which just put stuff in certain in a different light for me now. Like the way it gives me an insight into how he thinks. You know what I mean? Like just the way he explains to Gentile how he should be looking at the fucking maze, even though it's Gentile. You see what I'm trying to say? It's like I think it is a simpler level. I think there is something more simple and classic there rather than all these fucking anagrams and this and that, which were just,
Agreed.
cursory.
I just think with the guide stuff, a lot of these comments are just straight red herrings because we've got stuff like clearly trying to make us think of Daedalus and then stuff clearly trying to make us think of the Minotaur.
For sure, yeah, with the horns and shit.
So I don't know whether this one is blatant enough that we can say, oh, clearly he's trying to make us think of Atlas, because I don't think it's as obvious as some of the other ones.
No, but I'm saying we don't just have the maze as our reference. We've also heard shit come from White Raven, who said, oh, well, this has a lot to do with the guide.
Well, yeah, right. He said that this room, has connection to the identity of the guide. Also on Into the Abyss, in his maze mythology section, he goes into the story of Atlas and Hercules that has nothing to do with mazes, and you know what I mean? Like it doesn't seem to be there for any reason other than to clue people in that Atlas is meaningful. But that could just be because Atlas is named as part of the riddle of the path.
Well, no, at the same time, I don't think that story about Atlas and Hercules is that esoteric. Like, it's pretty well known among people who know Greek mythology. I don't think it's that out there to mention that, only because it's not far off from where Mance is coming from, I guess. Like, he's got Jason Hercules, all that shit on the wall in 15.
Yeah.
You know, it's...
Well, but the section is about like where like the maze is in mythology. It's telling the story of the Cretan labyrinth, and then
Yeah.
it takes this long digression.
Oh,
Hey,
there's Barry. There he
Hey,
is.
get a flower.
Hello.
How are you, Barry?
I'm all right.
hey, I
I
see
heard a rumor that.
you've got a new profile picture.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard a rumor that there were people in room 32.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
we're all there. We're arguing with each other, though, and the fucking guide, he's having a heyday with us.
Oh, that's too bad. I'm sure.
I'm just so upset that there's a bird here of all places.
Yeah, so I'd say
So what do you
hello.
think, Barry? Have you got any input for us? Anything
Oh,
to add?
I'm 32. Let me I don't know if I want to go there, but I'll at least turn to the page.
Let me cap off what I was starting to say there, just to note that
Yeah.
room 11, then the what I see there, that's an indication of the guide's identity. It just starts out with, it was a big space, but I still felt crowded. I've always hated confinement.
Yeah.
Which again just seems to be some indication of who the guide is. So those three rooms. The other thing is, you know, this seems like it might be the start of the trail of Top Hat, although it seems strange to suggest that Top Hat is either the thief or the statue.
That is strange, man.
We do have we do have like a person. We've got
Is there a person in it? Is that why? Because Top Hat's also a person.
yeah. We've got a person moving through the maze, okay? That's not, we don't have a whole lot of that in here. And,
It's true. It's not a joke, people.
And
Seriously,
this
there's
goes,
doors open in some rooms. There's shit fucked up in other rooms, and it's, you know, who's doing it, guys? There's somebody
Right.
doing it.
I mean, this room draws heavy attention over several paragraphs to the idea of someone coming in and out of this room.
Yes.
And then if
Right.
you go to 16, then you see someone running out of the room, and then you can follow that person through many rooms after that.
That's right.
I'm just saying
Okay.
that this may be part of a path of rooms where we're following Top Hat.
Yes.
All right. Fair enough.
It could be totally different. I don't know. Jesus Christ, Greg. I think the only thing I have to add then that I think is new that I haven't seen anyone mention before is that the bird's tail does come down and touch the door, which may go together with the indication in the text about being part animal, animal parts, part of an animal. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
part of the animal is touching the door.
Well, here's an interesting thing. I noticed that the only thing in the room that is not stone is, or the sea bags, is the wood and the bird and the piece of wood that the bird is sitting on.
Mm-hmm.
Like
You're
something
right.
natural. It's too bad the word naturally doesn't come up in the text, but it would, you know, it would be complement that theory.
But and possibly that's why they show the archway through the doorway, the sixth doorway, is just to establish that that's a stone door. 11's a stone door. 16 is a stone staircase. 28 is wood. I think there's something to that because otherwise I don't know why they would have 28 be a wooden door and have all everything else be stone.
Exactement, mon ami.
Ah,
So that's what I've got. That's my overview of Room 32. Does anyone have
yay! That was good. You did a great job.
anything to add? We were kind of adding stuff as we went along there, but does anyone have anything? Whoa, did we just lose Alex?
We did. I think he was satisfied.
Yeah, it looks like. Yeah.
He left.
He was happy.
He was happy. He was.
Glad we could all be there.
You didn't get to hear
moment.
it all, Barry, but do you have any observations you want to add about Room 32?
Yeah, this one looks
I'm
really
back.
Hi.
really
Hi.
detailed. Oh, welcome back. We all
WB.
thought that you were very satisfied.
No, my phone is hot
Yeah,
as hell,
with
so I had
and
to move
that
it.
was that.
It's not that. It
Go ahead.
continues, my friends.
Go ahead, Barry. What were you going to...
The old freezer.
So where were you?
Barry was about to say what he thought about the room. 32.
I thought my thing like crashed again.
Maybe Barry is dead?
No, he's thinking.
Yeah.
No,
Where
I think he died.
he's drawing the room in the air, but since he doesn't have his camera on, we can't see it.
Okay. Well, if he finishes his thought, then we can let him back in. You know, on Into the Abyss, which I know Greg likes for us to talk about every few minutes, he really doesn't like when we discuss Maze outside the context of Into the Abyss.
Yeah. Let's talk about the World Cup next too, because I would love to hear about that.
No, but Into the Abyss, there's only one solution up on there, which is the Seabag OK, of course. But it's got 4 out of 5 stars full, which seems bizarre because it seems like if there are 2 puzzles, then getting one of them should only be 2 or 3 stars, and if there's only 1 puzzle, then that should be 5 stars. So
well, maybe it's a wood thing. Maybe it's a wood thing. The wooden door is the only thing that's the odd man out.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we've said some plausible stuff, I guess.
You could even say live creature, right? Like the live bird, as opposed to the stone statue or the stone. I don't know. Everything else. Whatever.
Well, yeah, the stone figures looking the wrong way also would support your wood versus stone thing. Right?
It's just a thought. I mean, you know, I'm thinking, I'm trying to help Vince out here with like the extra point on fucking Raven's thing. You know what I mean? Like, I can't think of anything else other than the mix of symmetry here. I can't think of anything else that would crack that extra point.
Yeah, I think that it seems like there's more going on than just one more point worth of stuff. Like all the ones mentioned in the text seems to be something. The symmetry, asymmetry seems to be something. I think we've got some stuff to work with, more than I thought we would. Like I thought this room there probably wasn't that much left in it, but I think there's more for us to think about here.
Yeah, this is one reason I like these assignments, because I don't think I would have spent this much time on this room. You know, I just kind of would have been like, oh, Seabag OK, and moved on. So the assignments are nice for that.
Well, I think it's great that we addressed it, because this room, it's pretty rare. Like, in my childhood, I never encountered it all that much. And even with you guys, like, until we really came to it in this podcast, I really hadn't looked at the room all that much myself.
Yeah, Barry, can you talk now, Barry?
I think so. Maybe for a minute or two. I'm not sure how the connection is.
Barry, room 32, go.
Tell us what you think.
Yeah, tell us everything.
All right, room 32 looks very detailed. I like the idea that room 16, the entrance to it is different from the other 2 entrances, and it looks like a very detailed room, and someone took a lot of time to draw it.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was.
And I think it's a tough draw right now. So.
You know, one thing about the connection between 32 and 16 is it's one of the somewhat rare instances in the book where the exit in one room and the entrance in another room sort of match up. Like usually you just have some doors and you don't really know where the unmarked doors go. But I think it's pretty heavily suggested visually that the staircase that you go down in 32 would then lead up the trap door in 16. Is that what it seems like there? Okay.
Well, yeah, it's the same thing with the slide in 20. What was it?
It's 41 to 38.
38, yeah.
So that 32 then is on the same level of the maze as the loop.
Yeah, there's a few interactions. I mean, they're not all cohesive, but some of them are definitely cohesive, like the slide and some
Well,
of
you
those
get to
stairs and
32
shit.
by going down a down ladder from the loop. 28.
Yeah. This
Then
is
you gotta go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean you get to 39 by going down a ladder, and then in room 39 you can see the ladder coming down. From 41 to 35, there's a ladder going up and a ladder coming down, presumably connect. It happens here and there.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that stuff is particularly meaningful or not. I'm sure it's won Greg over. He now believes that it was in fact Top Hat that came to life and then found a tuxedo and a top hat and a bow tie.
He broke the door. He broke the wall to 11 to throw people off. They can think he went to 11, but really he snuck down the stairs.
Listen, we could just make our own mythology out of this. Whether it exists or not.
It's true. There's not a lot of boundaries. I mean, we could maybe that should be our assignment for next week. Is we're going to write some fan fiction.
Well, I'll tell you why that's cool, man. Is because we were the ones who went back to Bailey's site, back in the day, and saw the different characters on there.
Barry, it appears you're muted. If you're trying to talk, your box is muted. Now you're not muted.
Oh yes, I'm aware. Okay. Had some dogs barking and stuff, so I figured I'd
Tell them to stop.
Yeah, well, I didn't this time. I decided to wait.
Okay. Have you started drawing 32 yet?
Yeah, I drew a big sign that says 16, and I started drawing. I started with the right column, and then I started kind of just sort of drawing the roof in the left column. I don't know if there's a certain order one goes about it, if that's the exact way I would have looked at it. But
Barry, I think a fun room would be 35 for your next one.
35.
That would be a very fun room to draw.
The Def Leppard room.
Because it has room.
That's my favorite fucking room in the whole maze.
Wow. It does have a nice suit, that's for sure.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where Top Hat changes out of his tuxedo and into.
That's not a tuxedo. Come on, man.
In six.
Well,
No. I know. That's right. That's where he gets, or maybe it's where he leaves the other suit, the suit where he becomes Mr. Yes. That's Mr. Yes's suit in 35.
Mr. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
was he Mr. No before?
No, he was Top Hat.
Oh, he wasn't
Okay,
Mr.
let's get
Man.
on focus. Let's get on focus.
Oh, okay, all right.
Was there any more discussions about that room?
I don't
Was there any
think
more
I.
discussions about any rooms?
Well, let's not go crazy just yet. All right.
No,
So
I just want to push things forward in a.
All right. If that rounds up what we've got on 32, let's talk about what we're going to do next time. What's a good way to do an introductory episode for the maze? Like if we do an episode where we focus on room 1, is that good or does that just ruin room 1 for people?
No, I don't think so. I think actually that's a good idea. We should have maybe somebody. This is just an idea, but maybe have somebody go through room 1 with somebody, explain to them some of the parameters of the maze. Be like, okay, this is why 26 is the right one because blah 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 was not mentioned in the text, This may not be how every room is described or how every room is encrypted, but this is sort of like a primer to it. What do you think of room 26? And then I say we like sort of test tube them on YouTube with room 26. See what they think of it with no fucking input from us. We just let them say what they want to say. I think that would be a great test because 26 is one of the first rooms in the maze. And we really, you know, although we all talk about it a lot, I don't think any of us have seen that much input from anybody outside of the maze community talk about it.
I did kind of a similar thing with my sister this past weekend, where I kind of let her choose where she was going, and at first I kind of did a similar thing to what you put forth, and kind of told her the answers after she thought about it for a while, and then eventually just kind of let her make her choices. She ended up not staying on the path pretty quickly, but I think it'd be fun to just kind of I like that idea. Just kind of hold their hand a little bit at the beginning, and then just like kind of watch them go and just ask them why they chose what they chose.
It's just that I think that if you leave them stranded at room 1, it might be too much of a challenge because they're like, whoa, like why these guys have a podcast? Holy shit, this might be some crazy like Masonic shit, like maybe there's something behind it. But I think if you explain to them sort of the parameters of the rule, because that's really how I got into it, is because Manson explains a little bit about room 1. Like he's like, ooh, maybe you should choose story, but why would you choose that? And I got by myself that it was 26 because of what Manson had explained. So I think it would just be a little, it would be a faster segue to like, get room 1 over with because everybody knows the fucking answer to that, and just, get them thinking maze-wise. And then when they're in room 26, it's something we're all familiar with, and I think it's something that would be interesting for an outsider to interpret.
And it's probably something that's solvable too. Although it's a very misleading room because it leans so heavily on the Atlas stuff. But I think it's plausible.
No. I think you can get away without the Atlas stuff, man. If you look at just the devils, you can get away with just looking at the devils and not following them. Right?
That salt shaker in the letter A, you look at that and you're like, what's this business about? What my sister had that. She's like, what's all that? It's like, don't worry about that. That's this bizarre riddle that you're gonna get to later.
It is pertinent to the room as well, because if you add A to salt, you got Atlas, and then which is the moon, I don't know how that helps you. Actually, you're right.
Unless you see zeros in the craters, the moon doesn't help you.
Well, no, as I said, if you just look at the devils, like if you forget all the salt and A and stuff, you just look at the devils and stuff, and I think you should be okay, right? Because they're not pointing to 30.
Though I really think Vincent Bell's solution is a much better solution to the room than what room the devils are pointing to.
What's the Bell solution?
The bell is the 0, because there's so much more of the text in the room that points to the bell solution than the devil.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I see that. And it looks like an O because it's like the rim is totally white.
Yeah.
Well, dude, it could be both. It could be totally both, man, because both of them complement each other.
Yeah, there's multiple solutions, I think.
Well, I don't even think that's multiple solutions. I think it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
But in any case, so how are we going to? Do you know someone, or does someone think they can get someone who would really be comfortable?
Well, before we even go into this, how long do you want to restrain this person to fucking our YouTube channel? Like half an hour, 15 minutes? Like, what do you think is a sizable amount of time to make it interesting?
Go ahead.
I think half an hour would be interesting. I think we just need to watch ourselves and how long we talk about room 1. If they could actually, if they wanted to keep going, I think it would probably be more interesting than our average podcast, watching someone work their way through the maze who had done it before. It's more a question of their patience. But
wait a second. We might not necessarily have to start at room 1. We could already whoever we're going to coach on this, we could prime them and do room 1 with them before the podcast starts, and then start and then introduce them and be like, okay, this is like they've gone through room 1. We've explained to them why room 1. We're not gonna fucking do it on the podcast because everybody knows room 1. So let's just get to the bare bones of it and see what they have to say about the next room based on primer knowledge of the maze.
We could do it that way. Although,
well-
did you see that thing I posted about room 1 this week that I think
that?
might be legit?
No,
About
I didn't.
how the semicircle of sunlight that falls on 41 and 21 is shaped similarly to the cup that's on door 26, and then it even has the like the cup has the circular handle on it, and then the semicircle of light has the circular door handle that falls on it.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
I was
think-
going to disagree with Alex actually that we should never do room 1 as a focus because I think there's always more stuff to find from these established solutions.
No,
But,
no, no. I don't think we should never do room 1. I'm just saying, like, for this exercise with bringing somebody new in, I think
I think that's a good
room 1
idea.
would be too tedious with a new person.
So a few thoughts I have on this process. One, whoever we bring in, they're going to go much faster in every room than we are, which is going to make for better television probably, because they're not going to be dissecting in the way we are, knowing the answer and just try, because they just have to pick a door. They don't really have to get to the right door, because they don't know what the right door is.
Right. Yes.
My other thought is it might be better to have a couple people, new people, so that they're talking. Otherwise, if it's just one person looking at it, they're just going to be looking at it, right? Whereas if
good
it's
point.
someone
It's
to
true.
kind of talk it through and try to problem solve with, then they have to verbalize. And
that's a good idea.
So this means we got to find 2 people then.
Yeah.
2 or 3.
Yeah.
Well, we can try to work that out.
We don't have to do we don't have to call them all while we're recording.
Well, I could do mine. I can get my girlfriend to come in on it. She sort of watched the podcast. She thought it was amusing. She's pretty fresh on it. I haven't shown her the way.
Yeah, I don't know much about room 1 though I did draw it once.
Yeah, I think you solved it by drawing it, didn't you?
I'm not sure really. I think I have to finish every picture before going back and wondering if they were solved or not by
Yeah.
illustration alone, because that's too early to decide.
Now, Barry, are you also, because a lot of Nancy made it so the solution is not just in the picture, it's also in the text. Are you also rewriting the text?
I was thinking first I would try illustrating the picture, and then later on trying to just but that's way too far. There's already so many rooms. But the theory would be to later on go back and then just try to draw it based on the text.
Oh, I see.
Pictures.
Without looking at the picture.
Though it's an okay rule to look up the descriptions to figure out what they look like. That'd be okay, but yeah, just to do it without the actual picture.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, do you sketch with an HB, right, or 2B?
Right now it's with white charcoal.
Oh, charcoal. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Right now, white charcoal and black paper. Though I have been doing the other way, but.
I used to be into spray paint.
Nice.
But also, no, I did some woodcuts and lino as well. That's why that was one of the things that got me into Christopher Manson is the fact that it was all woodcuts and this etching style. And I'm big into Gustave Doré and Rembrandt for their etchings, man. I think that stuff is brilliant, and I wish I was good as them. I tried my hand at it, and I'll tell you, it is tough getting sort of the feeling across. So hats off to Manson for doing such a consistent job at 45 rooms.
Yeah, they do look uniform to each other. He has it coordinated.
Yeah.
and they just look great.
Yeah.
Did you
Not
guys
like he's
look at the? Were you? Has anybody seen the sequel preview pictures on
Yeah.
the Abyss? What do you guys think of those?
I put a comment on there, and it's. I think I had the same reaction that a lot of people did, where it's like, oh, that doesn't look like Manson's artwork. Come on. But
Yeah.
then that didn't last for very long before I was like, that's still really good, and I think it would even make the book potentially better with that level of detail, because we wouldn't be sitting here like squinting at like cross hatching, saying, is that supposed to be a 2? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when he uses technology to his advantage, and he can depict things even more accurately and with more detail, I think it just elevates the amount of stuff he can hide in there, or that he can make people think he's hiding in there. So I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't like it.
You didn't like? Yeah, I didn't like it too much either. But you know, I got to give him some slack just because I'm sure it was just preliminaries. We had no idea what he had in mind, whether it was another maze or if it was something. Because he's a creative guy. He had what was it? The Alchemist book, and like it was sort of different, but it was sort of the same. Like it was a puzzle, but in my opinion, it was more constricted. It was more like, I think there's a lot to be said about Manson saying, like, to Gentile, that there's a lot of interpretation involved here, and he did it on purpose, sort of, abstract in that sense, like that maybe he has something in there, maybe he didn't, but there are a certain amount of clues in each room.
The sequel art looks. I'm assuming he did that in the '90s, because it kind of had that feel of a lot of artwork in the '90s, where it's like, oh look, we can make art with computers now, and it's a big boom of people.
Oh! You know what? Hey, check this out, guys. So I got this today. I ordered Christopher Manson's Good King Wenceslas. And I know Vince hates.
Out on the.
I know Vince hates this shit, but these woodcuts are amazing, man. Like just.
Even softly came the news at night.
Whatever, you can't really see it, but it's.
Oh, hold on here. Let me put focus on you so we can. There we go.
I have a Good King Wenceslas song. Hold on, let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, it's in the back of this thing.
Oh wow!
But I'm not gonna. Whatever. I really like this kind of art. This is one of the reasons I was so intrigued with Maze, is because this shit. I could actually probably do this, like not original, but I could probably reproduce this on a lino block with different colors.
Stop! Sorry. Can't get this stop.
Did you sit on an accordion? Is that what?
No,
Yeah,
I was
so
trying to. I have a Good King Wenceslas song. I was going to play it while you're doing this. But I don't know which track number it is.
Anyway, no, I just wanted to show you guys that I supported Manson and I bought some shit online. Well, I guess he didn't really actually get supported because it was off Amazon, so it was secondhand. But yeah, I have a bunch of Manson's books now.
You bought a
proud
copy?
of them.
Well, you supported him by spreading the message.
I just like the artwork. I think it's inspiring and makes me want to get back into woodcutting and lino blocks, which was everybody's into Twitter and Facebook and all this other crap, and nobody's into useful stuff like woodcutting carvings and printing them. So useful.
Keep looking and dare to dream.
I feel like I should put an advisory. Like, we should have made an announcement some time ago that the Maze portion of the podcast is over. That's okay. As long as we're off subject, you said that I hate that shit, but I don't hate that shit.
Wait, what shit?
I thought you were talking about Good King Wenceslas.
No, because you said before you were like all his like lame ass like
Okay.
I don't know. You were just like, oh, he's got some lame things.
Okay.
He should like basically you were saying like Maze was your
Yes,
best
I'm
work.
clearly trying to interrupt you so you don't finish saying it.
Oh man. All right, I'm done.
Oh, I don't dislike his artwork there. When I was getting some illustration work done for that book that I keep mentioning and then not really explaining anything about, I used some of Manson's illustrations from other books as something to emulate.
Ah,
Cool.
you were gonna send us books, weren't you?
I think it was implied that I would, and then I deliberately hoped that everyone forgot about it.
I didn't forget. I've just been waiting.
Oh. Oh, well, maybe I'll remember this week. I don't know. It makes me feel corny, like plugging that in some unrelated venue, you know? Like, it seems like an abuse of the unspeakably small amount of power I have as the moderator or whatever of these hangouts on air.
It's not like you're trying to sell the book.
Yeah. Well, I think it could quickly turn into that.
For free. That's all I'm doing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. It's just you. It's not like I'm peddling it to our
Yeah, the people watching this aren't
viewer.
going to get the book. They don't get it. They don't get that opportunity.
Oh, they
We
can.
haven't- They just get
Send
to
me a
know
message.
that.
Send me a message. I'll send you the book for free. If
Send you a
what you've seen during this podcast has led you to believe that's the kind of guy whose book I want to read.
No, you know
I'll send-
what? I will actually send you the book for free, but you have to pay for the shipping and handling, and I will send it for you for free. I swear to God.
Oh, I just meant I'll email them the electronic.
No, I'm talking to the viewers because, like, Amazon, they just have the craziest deals, my man.
What you'll print out Vince's book and send it to me? Is that what you're offering? Because I'd prefer.
No. I'm saying the Maze. Like, all you gotta do is send me shipping and postage, and it's like $6. I don't know about Vince's book. Vincent, are you selling something here? You got to monetize this shit?
No, he's giving it away.
Yes, only distributed for free.
Ah.
I'll note, if it sweetens the deal, it does have illustrations by Andrew Hussey of
Whoa.
Adventures.
Ooh.
God, I can't see. Look what I just did. You see what I just? No one. That's it. No one gets the book. It's over.
What? Tap out.
Oh, but you saw what I just did. You saw what I just turned into.
You
No,
were giving more information about the book.
No. Okay. Do we have anything more to say on this podcast?
Yeah, we've gone really far astray here. I think it's a nice thing. I think we should end every episode with saying a word of gratitude to Christopher Manson for writing Maze. A word of gratitude to John Bailey for his site in the early 2000s.
The first apostle.
Yeah, the first apostle, John Bailey. And then the word of appreciation to White Raven for renewing everyone's interest in Maze. That's all I've got. Anyone else have any closing
Let's
remarks?
say a word of appreciation to David.
Yes.
David was an apostle as well.
David, we love you too.
Yes, we love you.
Congratulations.